Hello everyone, so happy you've joined us for another informative weekend edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host Theodore Henry. Inside the pages today, HealthWise explores the holistic management of diabetes, plus steps to successful breastfeeding. We're also putting the spotlight on the development of new urban centers. Go nowhere, as you don't want to miss these and more interesting features. They're coming right up, right after this important message.
Nutritious food, succulent dishes, superior workmanship, and excellent service. Jamaica is on the go. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Let's harness the indomitable spirit of our most valued resource, our people. Let's support our local businesses. After all, buying Jamaican means building Jamaica. Original.
Orderly and planned development allows for better management of resources, along with convenience and comfort for citizens. In this next feature, we'll hear how the government is creating new modern town centers across Jamaica to bring about these benefits and more.
The following is an excerpt from the 2023-2024 budget presentation by Prime Minister the Most Honorable Andrew Holness.
Madam Speaker, in 2017 we announced the Morant Bay Urban Centre. Though we were set back by the pandemic, the construction phase of the project got underway in April 2022 with the start of preparatory works. Full construction has now begun, and the spaces dedicated to some of the major anchor clients are already being developed. Among the entities that will take spaces in the town centre are the St. Thomas Municipal Corporation, the Ministry of Justice, the St. Thomas Parish Court, and all other government entities located in Morant Bay, several private sector companies, including banks and BPOs and quick services business. The old Goodyear factory, which has been idle for decades, is now being transformed into the new hub of economic and social activity for the parish of St. Thomas. The development will employ over 3,000 persons and bring modern services and facilities to the people of St. Thomas. I have directed the Chase Fund to start the process of building a museum in what will now be, after this is constructed, the old town of Morant Bay. That museum is to capture and properly document the history of the Morant Bay Rebellion and its defining impact on modern Jamaica. So we're not just trying to develop a modern town centre and leave Morant Bay to die. No, the idea is that we will develop Morant Bay, preserve its historical buildings, put in a museum, and start to use it now for tourism, not just tourism for cruise ships, but to get our school children to take trips to go there. That process will start early in the next fiscal year. Bonebrook Urban Centre in Port Antonio follows the model of the Morant Bay Urban Centre. The architectural designs for the project is complete and it is going through the approvals and permitting process. 126,000 square feet of rentable space will be constructed. Already, 54% of the space has been reserved. We have asked the Factories Corporation to also look at Negril. Negril is one of our premier tourist destinations, and it is in need of a comprehensive plan to realize its potential. Within the upcoming fiscal year, we will present a comprehensive development plan, which will include an international airport, a public beach park, a craft village, and with the help of the United Nations Environment Programme, UNEP, a restored Royal Palm Reserve. Negril is without any major commercial, industrial, or civic complexes. I have tasked the FCJ with developing an urban centre for the town similar to Morant Bay and Bonebrook. The FCJ has identified land strategically located in the town centre and we have started consultations with the relevant stakeholders regarding its use.
Boy, move out of my way, man. May I get my lunch before you, you know. Both there at the front of the line.
Yes, there are times when other students will try to get you out of your peaceful state. They will say something that will trigger you. They will cut in front of the line at lunch or wherever you are, and that will get you upset. But remember, you have control over your reaction to what happens to you. You have no control over what other people will do. Peace Day in schools must act as a conduit to inspire young people to become the driving force behind the vision for a united and sustainable Jamaica. Teaching our children about peace isn't just talking about war and conflict. Peace is about kindness, fairness, inner peace, respect for the environment, and so much more. Thoughts, words, gestures of unanimity create a mentality and a culture of peace and a respectful, honest, and cordial atmosphere. No place more that we'd like to see peace than in our schools.
People dying, if we care enough for living, make a better place for you and for me.
It's time now to get health-wise about the effect of diabetes on the body and how to treat with and manage this health condition.
Diabetes is a serious chronic lifestyle disease affecting millions of people over the world and continues to increase. Diabetes affects how your body turns food into energy. It is a disease in which your blood glucose or blood sugar levels are too high, and glucose comes from the food you eat. Insulin is a hormone that helps the glucose get into your cells to give energy. Sometimes your body doesn't make enough or any at all, doesn't make any insulin, and so it doesn't use the insulin well. Glucose then stays in your blood and doesn't reach your cells. Over time, having too much glucose in your blood can cause complications. Example, situations with the kidney, heart disease, and so on. Although diabetes has no cure, there are steps you can take to manage your diabetes and stay healthy.
It is through lifestyle that we manage the risk of diabetes. Those behaviors include increased physical activity, a healthy diet, routine health checks, and strict adherence to medication. The Ministry will be championing the cause of persons living with diabetes. We have updated our clinical management guidelines, which is now available on our website, and we will be working on increasing access to testing through the introduction of point-of-care testing. This methodology of testing is the gold standard for monitoring and control of diabetes. Our agency, the National Health Fund, will continue to support persons through the provision of diabetic medication and supplies, and I encourage persons with diabetes to enroll in the NHF card program to access this benefit.
The person with diabetes should really have an opportunity to sit down with a trained clinician who is able to help them to understand the concepts of diabetes self-management, education, and support. There are 4 core areas the patient must begin to understand. How and when to take medication. That's the first one. If you take insulin, then you need to know how does your insulin work and how do you eat in relation to the insulin. Then there are the people who have type 2 diabetes, which commonly start off with education on activity and just healthy nutrition. And then we add 1 of 5 classes of oral agents. And then we teach them how to make food, how to eat food. Also, we think of things like target blood pressure. Is your weight healthy, or do you need to lose a little weight? And most importantly, how do you feel? What is your quality of life? All of this is what we focus on. Also, when you get your lab work done, what is your hemoglobin A1C? The target should be 7% or less. Keep that number in your mind. Diabetes damages the feet, the kidney, and the eyes at first, and then eventually we also find it can cause coronary vascular disease too. But for foot care, the person with diabetes every day, you wash your feet, wash them properly. Dry your feet, dry between the toes. Moisturize your feet, but do not put moisturizer between the toes. Make sure that you wear cotton socks, right? If you're going to have your toes cut by somebody trained who knows how to cut them. Examine your feet every day. Do not walk barefoot. Please, please, please do not walk barefooted, because if you injure or cause trauma to the feet, you may not feel it because your diabetes has damaged the nerves to the feet. And finally, when you buy shoes that are comfortable and that you can wear without causing blisters or trauma to the feet. Now we have research that shows that I can prevent the eye damage, the kidney damage, the foot damage, and the amputations by just keeping my blood glucoses under control and taking care of myself.
There's no such thing as a diabetic diet, but it's all about how much I eat, the timing of my meals. So it's your portion sizes is what is important. Now, what we do recommend is that persons eat at least 3 balanced meals per day and small snacks. Snacks usually mean smaller, more nourishing meals, which we usually recommend that it be your fruits, your vegetables, or you can also use your nuts. Each meal or snack should contain protein because we need it to be balanced as well. Each meal should contain at least your protein and your fat. And we also want them to select a variety of foods from all the food groups. So there is some recommendations about the amount of fruits that you should eat per day. We usually say 2 to 3 servings. We want you to include a variety of vegetables daily. We also want you to include more peas, beans, and nuts in your daily meals. Reduce your intake of salty and processed foods, and to reduce your intake of fats and oils, and that of sugary foods and drinks. You aim for foods that have high sources of fiber, such as your whole wheat bread, whole grain rice, flour, more of your ground provisions. They will give you fiber, right? And that will slow down the rate at which your body breaks down the food, so you won't have a rapid increase in your blood sugar levels versus if you eat foods that are low in these added fibers. When you're having alcohol as a person living with diabetes, is not to have it on an empty stomach, because it gives the risk of lowering your blood sugar. And also what we want you to do is that once you have diabetes, we do not really recommend the mixed drinks, so as to say, because they usually have a sweetened base. For women, it's usually you can have a drink per day, and for men is no more than 2 drinks. And what is a drink? Usually for beer, it's not more than 12 ounces. And for like a shot, is usually a shot, which is about 1.5 ounces. And for wine, recommendation is usually about 5 ounces thereabout.
There are several researches that have shown that physical activity, when done properly, for persons who are diabetic, again, you heard it, allows you to use up glucose
minutes. For children, the recommendation is at least 60 minutes, 5 days a week of moderate to vigorous activity, and it must be a combination of muscle and bone strengthening activity. That's the recommendation for our children. For adults, it's at least 30 minutes, 5 days a week to get some health benefit, meaning increased circulation, reduce stress. And for the elderly, it's at least 30 minutes, 5 days a week. If you're a diabetic patient, these are some of the activities that are very good for you. Swimming, jogging, dancing, these activities, they're not very vigorous. You know, you maintain them at a low to moderate pace, and it's a very effective way of managing and controlling your blood glucose or your blood sugar. If you are going to start a physical activity program, that you check with your doctor before you start, because if you have a condition, if you're diabetic, hypertensive, you have any other medical condition, your doctor will determine the intensity level, the type of activities that you can do.
Persons living with diabetes mellitus have multiple psychosocial issues related to diabetes management and its complications even before COVID. And there's an entity called diabetic distress, which refers to the negative emotions such as feeling hopeless, angry, or frustrated that persons who are diagnosed with diabetes experience, especially if they lack social support. I must mention we have the mental health helpline, which is 888-639-5433, or simply remember 888-NEW-LIFE, which is a 24-hour, 7-day week, 7 days per week psychological support produced by psychologists. When you call this number, they can provide emotional support for you. If you are feeling any form of emotional distress, they can provide support for you, and where you need additional help, they will direct you to additional help.
Have you been waiting more than 12 months to do surgery for hernia, prostate, fibroids, or other womb-related surgeries? Then you should contact the Ministry of Health and Wellness by calling 876-320-8694, 876-320-9133, 876-320-9164, or 876-320-9373. Calls are to be made between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Mondays to Fridays. You can also email projectcodecare@moh.gov.jm. You will be required to provide your name, medical record number, the type of surgery, and the health facility where you made your appointment. The last day to contact the Ministry of Health and Wellness is Wednesday, May 31, 2023.
Know your numbers and control the keys to a healthier heart. Know the numbers for your blood pressure, cholesterol level, blood glucose level, and your weight and body mass index. Find out the risks they represent and what you need to do to stay healthy. Talk to your doctor and start making healthy lifestyle choices to prevent a heart attack or stroke.
We're near the close of Jamaica Magazine today, but there is still time to tell you about one of the most important gifts parents, specifically mothers, can give their children. As we continue to celebrate Child Month, let's have a conversation about the benefits of breastfeeding for baby and mother. It's the healthy start we all need.
If a baby mother is tired or something, I can play a part in feeding baby.
Me taking part in breastfeeding also helps in bonding, mother-child as well as father.
And I'm anticipating that he will be there supporting me throughout.
Babies are born with the reflex to look for their mother's breast. However, Many mothers need practical support with positioning their baby for breastfeeding and making sure their baby is correctly attached to the breast to prevent sore nipples and discomfort in the first few days after birth. Breastfeeding takes time and practice for both mothers and babies, and support from a lactation consultant or other skilled professionals can help them overcome the challenges. Government, with the support of the World Health Organization and the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, has been creating a healthcare environment which protects, promotes, and supports breastfeeding. This involves the National Baby-Friendly Hospital Initiative, where hospitals are certified to global standards in facilitating breastfeeding and the health of mothers and infants. There is also the National Infant and Young Child Feeding Network. Public health facilities certified baby-friendly include the Alexandria Community Hospital in St. Anne, Princess Margaret Hospital in St. Thomas, Lioneltown Hospital in Clarendon, Port Antonio Hospital in Portland, Port Maria Hospital in St. Mary, and Mandeville Regional Hospital in Manchester.
It gives a framework that enables mothers to acquire the skills they need to breastfeed exclusively for the first 6 months, which is 180 complete days, followed by complementary foods and continued breastfeeding for 2 years and beyond. The aim is to give the best start in life for all newborns by creating a healthcare environment that supports breastfeeding as a normal, natural option.
Breastfeeding is so important. It is actually the best nutrition any mother can give to a child, a newborn child, and up until at least a year.
WHO guidelines provide a 10-step approach to successful breastfeeding that is being followed by baby-friendly health facilities. This includes having a hospital policy that promotes breastfeeding and not infant formula, bottles or teats. It also makes breastfeeding care a standard practice and monitors the support being given. Baby-friendly health facilities are required to ensure staff competency through training on breastfeeding support strategies. Breastfeeding is also encouraged by the hospitals through sessions that discuss its importance for babies and mothers and teach women how to feed their baby. Healthcare experts are expected to encourage skin-to-skin contact between mother and baby soon after birth and help mothers put their baby to the breast right away, an important practice that helps the baby find and latch onto the breast, and one which, if done within 1 hour after birth and then frequently after, helps to establish breastfeeding. Mothers should also be assisted by health professionals who will give practical breastfeeding support by checking the baby's positioning, attachment, and suckling, and help mothers with common breastfeeding problems. Mothers are encouraged to give their baby only breast milk unless there are medical reasons, prioritizing donor human milk when a supplement is needed. The breastfeeding expert will also help mothers who want to formula feed to do so safely. Almost all mothers produce the right amount of milk for their babies, and production is determined by how well the baby is latched onto the breast, frequency of breastfeeding, and how well the baby is removing milk with each feeding. Baby-friendly health facilities ensure mothers are able to stay with their newborn day and night, especially if the baby is sick. This is also known as rooming in. They are also required to help mothers know when their baby is hungry and not limit breastfeeding times. Mothers should also be given counsel on the use and risk of feeding bottles, teats, and pacifiers. And they ought to be referred to community resources for breastfeeding support. Learning to breastfeed can take time and patience. It is a skill that mother and baby learn together, a skill worth having.
Children are the future, And ensuring our future is healthy requires that children are always provided with nutritious foods to grow well and live long. Unhealthy diets high in sugar, salt, and fat consumed by children may make them obese and prone to non-communicable diseases later in life. Healthy foods and beverages not only help them learn better, but also protects them from non-communicable diseases such as some cancers, diabetes, hypertension, and cardiovascular diseases in their childhood and adult life. So, whether it's at home, in the lunch bag, or at school, let's make healthy foods and beverages for our children the only rule.
Can be very frustrating, and a lot of times people don't feel like they really have an answer to everything, and the truth is that that is the reality. But there are different things that people can try. We're not saying that any one thing works for everybody or that you even get the outcome that you want immediately. Especially when you're dealing with young children, you might have to try something several times before you see a particular result. So for example, if it is that you want a child to learn the difference between right and wrong, a lot of times in the past we use pain to teach that this is wrong, right? But we find that ultimately when you hit a child, what you're teaching them to do is when I don't like something, I should hit and I should lash out. What you want to try in a situation like that, you can try removing privileges. If there are things that the child might love to do, or even the age-old timeout, you know, where you say, listen, for this period, you have to sit by yourself, there's no communication, there's no talking, sit down and be still. Sometimes you have to physically just hold your child and help them to breathe through it, because you have some children where they have so much emotion and so much anger and they want to get it out, that it's really difficult for them to regulate it at such a young age. And so you have to physically hold them, put your hand on them, help them to breathe through it until they're calm. And with children, even if they don't understand necessarily the big concepts of right and wrong, they can sometimes understand tone, right? And tone is not the same thing as lashing out and using certain words and calling them different names. Tone is being firm and saying, I do not want you on this. So for example, if a child keeps going up on something, you might have to take them off it 10 times, right? And continue to reinforce with the same tone and consistency that you do not want them on this. And also for younger children, sometimes you have to be the one to remove whatever it is that you don't want them to interact with from the environment, right? Because they're so young and so impulsive, you can't necessarily leave it to them to understand I shouldn't touch this thing, right? So that's how we deal with the younger children.
This is where we end the program. Be here on this station tomorrow and we will have much more to share. Until then, there is more to watch over on our website, jis.gov.jm. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Theodore Henry. Remember, children need our love and protection. So show them you care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.